You won't believe what happened to me. Picture this. Saturday morning, sun's barely up. I'm just stepping out to wash my Mustang. The one I built from scratch, every bolt, every little detail. All mine. When I see this woman in my driveway, running her hand over the hood like she already owns the place. She's not admiring it. She's not even curious. Nope. She looks me dead in the eye and says, "Oh, perfect. My son's been wanting a car like this. And since you've already got another one, you can hand this over. It's only fair." You ever just stand there, halfway between laughing and thinking, is this for real? Because I did. I figured maybe she was joking, like some weird icebreaker from a new neighbor. But her face? Stone cold. She meant it. She says her husband's on the HOA board, and they can make things happen around here. You're new. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Like I'm supposed to just fold because she's got the homeowners association on speed dial. Let me back up a sec. See, I don't exactly have the kind of job where I scare easy. I run the police department, but I kept that under wraps. I just let her keep talking, rattling off reasons. Why her son deserves my car more than I do. It's wild how some people think the world owes them. She even threatened to report me to the HOA for hoarding vehicles, as if loving classic cars is some kind of felony in suburbia. I kept it cool, didn't let on that her threats were only digging her own grave. I could tell she was the type to double down, not back off. And oh man, she did. Next morning, there's a bright orange HOA violation stuck to my front door. Unapproved vehicle storage. Remove immediately or face fines. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. This car's in my own driveway, not junked up, not blocking traffic. But Karen, yeah, her name was Karen, you can't make this up, decided this was her opening move. Then, like clockwork, she shows up again, this time dragging her teenage son along. He's circling the car, yanking the door handle, peeking through the windows like it's already his. Karen's beaming, tells him, "This is gonna look great when you take it to school. Right there, on my property, like I'm invisible." That's when I stroll out and say, "Touch my car again, and you'll regret it." Her kid just smirks. "What are you gonna do, old man? Call the HOA." She snaps her fingers, like she's the director and I'm an extra. "Get in, honey, this man's just being dramatic." That's when I give her a flash of my badge, just a glimpse, nothing flashy. Their faces change in a heartbeat. Suddenly, it's not so funny. I tell them, "You think the HOA makes the rules? If you set foot on my property again, I'll be the one pressing charges. And trust me, those charges will stick." For a second, Karen looks rattled, but you know the type. She spits back, "We'll see what the board has to say. You can't hide behind your job forever." I grin. "Then you should probably stop making trouble." But of course, she doesn't stop. If anything, she ramps it up. About a week later, I get summoned to an HOA meeting, mandatory, supposedly, because my Mustang is a community nuisance. I walk into the community center, and there's Karen, front row, her husband beside her, both looking like they've already won the lottery. Her son's lounging in the back, grinning like the villain in a bad movie. The meeting starts, and Karen stands right up, points at me, and gives this whole dramatic speech about how I'm refusing to cooperate, how my car is loud, dangerous, and lowers property values. She really put on a show. Some neighbors nodded, others looked embarrassed, but nobody spoke up. Her husband chimes in, mumbling about safety and hinting maybe my car isn't even registered right. The whole thing's an ambush. Finally, the HOA president looks at me, waiting for a defense. I don't say a word. Just set a folder down, every document you could want. Registration, insurance, emissions tests, title, all pristine. "This car is fully legal," I say, "and it's probably worth more than half the houses in this neighborhood." Karen leaps up, yelling about community spirit and how I should donate the car to someone who can use it, like my son. That's when I finally set my badge on the table, let it shine in the fluorescent light. I'm not just a neighbor, I tell them. If this harassment keeps up, false violations, trespassing, coercion, I'll handle it as law enforcement, not just a resident. You could hear a pin drop. Karen's mask slips. Her husband turns pale. But I know she won't give up. People like her never do. And sure enough, the very next morning, there's a racket outside, metal scraping, tires screeching. I run out to see Karen's son behind the wheel of my Mustang. trying to back out like he's in a heist movie. He'd broken in, hotwired it. Thing is, after the HOA meeting, I'd quietly told a couple officers to keep an eye on my place, just in case. So right as I'm about to shout, 2 squad cars roll up, lights flashing. Officers jumping out, hands on holsters, barking for him to cut the engine. Karen comes flying out, screaming, "He's just a kid. You can't arrest him." But he's not some little boy, he's almost 18. Old enough to steal a car, old enough to get cuffed. They drag him out, read him his rights, while Karen's wailing about harassment, swearing revenge, threatening lawsuits. Classic. Meltdown. Neighbors are watching now, recording on their phones. Karen's husband tries to jump in, but when the officers ask him questions, it's obvious he was in on the whole thing. They both get taken in for questioning. My Mustang? Not a scratch. Back in my driveway where it belongs. After all that, the HOA actually issues me a formal apology. Karen and her family get booted. From the board, fined, facing charges. Neighborhood's never been quieter. Next morning, I washed the Mustang in the sunshine, feeling like I just won the Super Bowl. That car's not just a car anymore. It's a trophy, a reminder that the law doesn't bend to entitled bullies, no matter how loud they get. But I'll tell you this, folks are still arguing about whether I went too far or not. What do you think? Drop a comment. Tell me if you would have handled it the same way, or maybe you think I should have just let it go. Hit like if you believe justice should be loud enough to drown out entitlement, and stick around. The next HOA showdown? You won't want to miss it.so. You'd think after all that, the squad cars, the cuffs, the whole neighborhood watching Karen's empire crumble, things would finally go back to normal, right? That's what I thought too. I mean, how much more drama can one cul-de-sac handle? But let me tell you, people like Karen, they don't just slink away quietly, licking their wounds. No, sir. They stew. They plot. And sometimes, they even try to turn the tables in ways you don't see coming. It started subtle. Little things. My mailbox got knocked off its post twice. Sprinklers suddenly went haywire, soaking my front porch at 2 in the morning. An anonymous complaint showed up at the city zoning office about improper use of residential property, which, yeah, was a laugh and a half considering my place looks like a model home compared to some of these lawns. I knew exactly whose fingerprints were all over this stuff. But you can't exactly call the cops for petty nonsense like that. Besides, I had other things on my mind. Turns out, Karen and her family weren't content with just being embarrassed. Word spread that she was stirring up her own little group, a handful of neighbors who'd always resented outsiders and change. They started holding these weird, secretive backyard meetings, whispering about restoring community values and taking back control. It all sounded like a bad sitcom, except, you're living in it. One guy, Frank, a retired insurance adjuster who thinks every fence post is a zoning violation, suddenly started walking his dog past my house 4 times a day, making notes on a clipboard. Yeah, that happened. But here's where things get really wild. Out of the blue, I get a call from the city's building inspector, said they had a report about unauthorized modifications in my garage. The only thing unauthorized in there is the mountain of half-finished projects and the pizza boxes stacked behind the toolbox. But hey, that's my business. So I let the inspector in, show him the place, walk him around. He laughs, shakes his head, and says, "Man, someone really doesn't like you." No kidding, buddy. Now, through all of this, I gotta admit, there was one neighbor I never expected to step up. Mrs. Patel, sweet lady, barely says a word to anyone. Turns out, she'd been quietly documenting everything. The mailbox, the midnight sprinkler attacks, Frank with his notebook, the meetings in Karen's backyard. She drops by one morning, hands me a flash drive, and says, "I think you'll find this useful. Some people forget there are cameras on every porch these days." Let me tell you, it was like getting handed the playbook to the opposing team. Armed with all this evidence, I thought about going scorched earth, filing complaints, maybe even lawsuits. But something about that just felt tired. I realized, somewhere in the middle of all this, the battle had stopped being about the car, or the HOA, or even Karen herself. It was about respect, about what kind of community we were all choosing to build. You know what I mean? If I went nuclear, what did that say about me? So instead, I decided to change tactics. I started showing up at every HOA meeting, not as the guy with the badge, but as a neighbor, listening, offering help, cutting through the pettiness. I even fixed up the old park bench everyone always complained about. Next thing you know, people start opening up. Frank puts away his clipboard, Mrs. Patel's at every meeting. More folks wave or stop to chat when they walk by. Bit by bit, the Karen crew lost their power, not because I called in the law, but because folks just stopped buying what they were selling. The last I heard, Karen's family put their house up for sale. Not a single neighbor shed a tear. That Mustang, still in my driveway, shining like a badge of honor. But honestly, it's not about the car anymore. It's about knowing that sometimes you fight back by standing your ground, and sometimes you win by being the grown-up in a world full of tantrums. Funny thing is, people keep stopping me on the street now, asking if I've got another wild story about the HOA. I always laugh and say, you have no idea. But hey, if you made it this far, let me know in the comments. Would you have handled it differently? Ever dealt with a Karen in your neighborhood? Share your own stories. Maybe next time, it'll be your tale I tell. And don't forget, if you want more real-life drama, hit subscribe, smash that like, and stick around. This neighborhood, trust me, it's never boring.